How many of you do something to improve your life every single day? How many of you wish you were a high-performance player every single day? We are bombarded with messages. Seize your limits, push your limits to new, and the most famous line of all, just do it, by Nike. I remember my excitement the first time I went to the seminar. There was this great speaker who told me, write down your goals. You can be whatever you want to be. And that's what I did. And I said, okay, tomorrow I'm gonna be a new person. Tomorrow arrives. Nothing changed. Then I said okay, but Monday is a different story. On Monday I'm gonna be another person. Then Monday arrives. Nothing changed. Anybody had the same experience before? So at first I got kind of frustrated, sad, but later I got intrigued and obsessed. How to go from inactivity to activity, how to go from 0 to 1, and how to become the high performer every single day. And for the last 15 years, I've been doing research, I've been trying different methodologies myself, I was speaking with a lot of people, and this is what I came up with. The foundation of doing, or the performance triangle. The motivation helps us to start taking action, and sometimes it's enough to complete the action. But sometimes motivation flags, and we need willpower to give us extra push. And it seems that's it. That's the magic formula. But not so fast. There are some things that we do daily, we do weekly, and it's not wise to use willpower resources for that activity. In that case, we need habits. Let's start with motivation. This is where we always start. This is what we have to ask. Why am I doing this? Why? And what should I do with that? So every goal, we start with asking why. And you may think there are so many things to do in a day. I want to do this and that. There are so many goals. So how to stay motivated the whole day? My answer is gamification. Gamification is where we take elements from video games and cardboard games into non-game environments, like business environment or my personal life. And some of you may think about points, badges, leaderboards. Some of you are motivated by that. But some of you couldn't care less about those things. But you might be interested in other things, unlocking new potential, new stories. This is different, but this is also gamification. So where does gamification come from? There are certain sources we can use through our day. The first one is public area. In these two pictures, you can see great examples of piano stairs versus escalator. This was developed in Sweden. They wanted to see how many people would take piano stairs versus escalator. And there was big difference. A lot of people wanted to play piano while they're walking up. Another example is with doing squats, doing sit-ups in return to get a free metro ride. And the last example that I saw was actually here in Switzerland. 2 days ago, I went to Bellinzona, and while I was walking down the city, there were a bunch of school kids from Lugano Elementary School with their teacher, and they were having a piece of paper, and they were walking down the street and writing something down. I was interested what they were doing, and I talked with the teacher, and she told me that this is the way they learn history. They try to find different things instead of being in class. This is also part of gamification. So one source is public areas that could be provided by local authorities, these type of gamifications. Another example is where your employer can get some kind of gamification system in the platforms to help you learn something, to achieve something, to unlock some history, to online learning. These kind of things happens a lot as well. And there are also some customized solutions for your employees and for you as an employer. And the last but not least source is yourself. Sometimes we can download an app that motivates us to do certain things, achieve different things in life. But sometimes we don't need apps. We can do something that is real. Like for example, this bag, this is my handbag I take with me all the time to work. And I have printed out materials, motivational materials, quotes, and I switch as often as I want. So it keeps me going with motivation throughout the day. Another example, there are certain things that we don't want to do, but we have to. So my idea was to write it down on a piece of paper and have it as a cup, as a chore cup. Put it there, and when I say, okay, I have to do something, so I just go, grab something from the cup, and I do it. It's much easier just to think about it. So when we talk about motivation, sometimes motivation is enough to start action, and it's even enough to finish that action. But it's not always. Motivation flags down, and what we need this extra push, and we get from willpower. Every day, we are faced with decisions, choices, and opportunities that take us closer or farther away from our goals. Willpower is the key to make the right decision. The less willpower you have, it's more likely you will make the wrong decision. And we make decisions throughout the day, all the time. The problem with willpower is that it's a limited source. Every time you have to think of what to do next, is it yes or no, you're using willpower. Sometimes at the end of the day, you don't have any willpower left. And then you make some wrong decisions, some wrong choices. So we start making choices early in the morning. Even when we wake up in the morning, we have to figure out what to wear. And that's kind of a tricky thing, especially for girls. They wake up and look at the closet, the cabinet, and they kind of say, well, I have nothing to wear this morning. And when they go through, there are so many choices. They have to make so many decisions, and they starting using willpower already there. In this case, it's a different story. There's not much to choose from. There's this or that, and you go with it. It's not just saving time, it's also saving your willpower for something else. So I made one thing. I traveled to Switzerland to visit my sister, and I stayed at her place. And I limited my choices. One thing, I limit my choices because it's real expensive and I cannot go to any restaurant I want. There's one thing. Other thing is I didn't have so much clothes to take with me. And another thing what I did, I was writing down with a piece of paper, on the piece of paper with a pencil, what I was doing during the day. I was learning where I failed and what could I do differently. I was doing this for the 4 weeks. It takes time, it takes effort, but it's definitely worthwhile. I still had a lot of time to meet friends, to play with a dog, to take a walk by the lake, was basketball game, and even I achieved one of my goals doing 100 push-ups in a row. So a lot of things happened while I was working also online and doing my job, what I was supposed to do. This is a great example of how you can save your willpower reserves. When you're writing down what you're doing, you can later on look at it and analyze that. 3 years ago, I met a person who is the CEO of one of the Fortune 100 companies. And he told me this story, that he hired an assistant for one purpose only. That person, that assistant, the only thing he did was he wrote down every step of the CEO was doing. He lived with him at his house, he traveled with him in the gym, he wrote down everything, I mean everything. The time he went to the bathroom, the time he came back. Actually, he even wrote when he went to bedroom with his wife. He wasn't writing what he'd done there, of course. This is another story. But this is what he was doing, and learning about yourself, that was a very important thing for him. So in the 4 weeks, he learned so much, so he could remove those roadblocks that wasn't helping for him to save willpower resources. So when we think motivation plus willpower, this is like a formula, right? And it helps us to go along a lot. But that's not it. We need also habits. And habits are for our daily activities, weekly repeated activities. And this is probably the most important part and the most difficult one. I remember that time I went to this seminar. I came back from that. I went to more seminars later on. I read a lot of books and talked with a lot of people. And the first thing I tried doing that was I wrote down on an Excel file with a lot of sheets, a lot of algorithms, what I should be doing, what is the perfect me, and so on and so forth. If you look at these sheets, it looks kind of geeky, and it is. I showed to my friends, they look at me, they thought I was totally cuckoo. So later on, smartphones became pretty popular, and 3 years later, apps became very, very popular. So what I did, I decided to develop application. We have our phones with us all the time, and this should help us to develop habits. So the whole idea of developing habits and having application was having different features, so it motivates us to develop those habits. But the most feature that helped a lot, that was the most important one, when we let people share their own experiences, how they develop certain habits. You see, we are all very different, very different. And the one person have a habit of drinking water is very different from another person. But when you get 10 stories about the same habit from 10 different people, it is a big possibility that one of those stories will suit you pretty well. And that's what I did with some of the habits that I developed successfully. The latest two was about piano. I used to play piano when I was little. Then I said to myself, okay, I would like to play piano again. And one of the really, really simple ideas and tips was how to have this as a habit again, is just placing piano in front of my bed. So every time I wake up, I have piano there. I don't have to think, where is it? Should I go there or there? It's there. Another tip I got from a friend and also from a doctor who said that if you want to have a better brain activity, you should massage your feet. So it's kind of a tricky thing. You have to remember, massage your feet, so on and so forth. So what I did, I brought some stones from the seashore next to my shower room. And that became inevitable. I just go take a shower every day, every morning. And that way I massage my feet. So these are my stories. You may have yours. And it would be wise to share those stories with other people. So motivation, willpower, and habits are the foundation stones of doing. If you want to be a high performer player every day, if you want to be the best you can be, you have to find ways how to gamify your day, learn about yourself, and copy other people's routines. These are the most important actions that must become your habits. Aristotle once said, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Thank you very much.